Explore the intricate dynamics of human relationships as we delve into the psychological profiles of toxic personalities, from the control freak to the narcissist, unpacking how their behaviors manipulate and undermine our sense of self, and discover the empowering strategies to reclaim your autonomy and foster healthier connections. Have you ever felt emotionally drained after a conversation with someone who seemed charming at first? This is often the work of the unconscious manipulator, a type of person who projects their unresolved issues onto others without even realizing it. They may appear sensitive and fragile, drawing you in with their charisma, but over time you may find yourself caught in a battlefield of their internal conflicts. Carl Jung emphasized that what we refuse to confront in ourselves manifests as fate, and often, this fate has a name, a face, and shares the table with you. The unconscious manipulator lives in a state of chronic projection, meaning they see in you what they refuse to acknowledge in themselves. When they experience anger, sadness, or feelings of inferiority, they often blame you for provoking those emotions. This distortion is so subtle that you may start to question your own actions and feelings. Was I really insensitive? You might ask yourself, falling into the trap of self-doubt. As you navigate this relationship, you may find yourself taking on roles that don't belong to you, becoming a savior in a tragedy that isn't yours or an enemy in a conflict you didn't create. The unconscious manipulator does not see you as you are. Instead, they see a reflection of their own unresolved issues. The danger lies in how effectively they can manipulate your empathy, drawing you into their emotional turmoil while leaving you feeling exhausted and confused. They often position themselves as victims, making it easy for you to feel responsible for their emotional state. This emotional manipulation occurs without any overt aggression. It is subtle and insidious, eroding your sense of self. You may find yourself sacrificing your own emotional health in an attempt to help someone who refuses to look inward. Jung warned that these patterns of projection are particularly dangerous because they distort your identity, reducing you to a mere symbol of what the other person cannot confront. Recognizing this dynamic is crucial for your emotional well-being. The first step in protecting yourself from the unconscious manipulator is to develop awareness of these patterns. Ask yourself regularly if your feelings are genuinely yours, or if they have been induced by the other person's unresolved conflicts. Understanding this will help you cut the invisible threads that connect you to their emotional narrative. The more you recognize these patterns, the more empowered you become to reclaim your own emotional space, ensuring that you do not become a vessel for someone else's unconscious. Imagine being in a relationship where every action you take is scrutinized, and every choice you make is met with judgment. This is the reality of being involved with a moral controller, a person who imposes their moral framework onto others, often without consideration for individual circumstances or feelings. Carl Jung identified this type as someone who wields their moral beliefs like a weapon, creating an environment filled with guilt and shame. The moral controller often believes they are acting out of concern or righteousness, but their behavior can quickly become toxic. They may present themselves as the arbiter of right and wrong, insisting that their way is the only acceptable path. This dynamic can make you feel as if you are constantly walking on eggshells, fearing that any misstep could lead to an emotional explosion. The moral controller's judgments can seep into every aspect of your life, from your choices in relationships to your career decisions. They often use guilt as a tool to manipulate, making you feel responsible for their emotional state and pushing you to conform to their ideals. This constant pressure can lead to a loss of your own identity as you begin to prioritize their expectations over your own desires. You may find yourself questioning your own values and beliefs, wondering if you are indeed as flawed as they suggest. The danger of the moral controller lies in their ability to create a false sense of morality that is rooted in control rather than genuine concern. They often mask their insecurities with a facade of superiority, believing that their moral compass is infallible. This can lead to a toxic cycle where you feel compelled to please them, even at the expense of your own well-being. Jung warned that engaging with a moral controller can lead to emotional burnout, as you expend energy trying to meet impossible standards. Breaking free from this dynamic requires a strong sense of self and an understanding of your own values. It is essential to establish boundaries and communicate openly about how their judgments affect you. Remind yourself that your worth is not defined by their approval. Recognizing that everyone has different moral frameworks can help you detach from their controlling influence. Embrace the idea that it is okay to disagree and that your feelings and beliefs are valid, even if they diverge from those of the moral controller. By reclaiming your own moral autonomy, you can protect yourself from the emotional turmoil that comes with being entangled in their rigid worldview. Have you ever felt completely drained after spending time with someone who seems to thrive on your energy? This is the hallmark of the emotional vampire, a person who unconsciously feeds off the emotional energy of others, leaving them feeling exhausted and depleted. Carl Jung describes such individuals as those who project their own unresolved emotional issues onto others, often without awareness of the harm they cause. Emotional vampires are skilled at drawing people in with their charm and charisma, creating an illusion of intimacy and connection. They often share their problems in a way that elicits sympathy, positioning themselves as victims in need of rescue. However, as the relationship progresses, you may begin to notice a pattern. Every time you offer support, they seem to require more, leaving you feeling like a mere vessel for their emotional needs. This dynamic can be incredibly alluring at first, as they may make you feel important and needed. However, over time, you may start to recognize that your emotional health is suffering. The emotional vampire thrives on drama and chaos, often creating crises to maintain a sense of urgency and dependency. They may continuously seek your attention and validation, making it difficult for you to set healthy boundaries. You might find yourself sacrificing your own needs to accommodate theirs, leading to feelings of resentment and frustration. Jung emphasized the importance of recognizing these toxic dynamics, as they can lead to a cycle of emotional exhaustion and self-neglect. The danger of engaging with an emotional vampire lies in their ability to manipulate your empathy, making you feel responsible for their emotional state. You may question your own feelings, wondering if you are being selfish for wanting to prioritize your own well-being. To protect yourself from emotional vampires, it is crucial to develop awareness of your own emotional boundaries. Recognize when you feel drained after interactions and reflect on whether the relationship is balanced. It is essential to communicate openly about your needs and establish limits on how much emotional energy you are willing to invest. Remember that it is okay to step back from relationships that do not reciprocate your support. By reclaiming your emotional autonomy, you can protect yourself from the draining influence of emotional vampires and foster healthier, more balanced connections. Embrace the idea that your well-being is just as important as theirs, and do not hesitate to prioritize your own emotional health. Have you ever encountered someone who seems to have an endless supply of charm and charisma, yet leaves you feeling empty and manipulated? This is the essence of the narcissistic charmer, a person who captivates others with their magnetic personality, while simultaneously being emotionally unavailable and self-centered. Carl Jung noted that narcissism often stems from deep-seated insecurities and an inability to connect authentically with others. The narcissistic charmer often presents a facade of confidence and allure, drawing people in with their charm and wit. They can be incredibly persuasive, making you feel special and valued. However, beneath this surface lies a profound lack of empathy and a chronic need for validation. They thrive on admiration and attention, often using others as a means to bolster their own self-esteem. As you become more involved with a narcissistic charmer, you may begin to notice a pattern of manipulation. They often engage in love bombing, showering you with affection and compliments at the beginning of the relationship, only to withdraw that attention once they feel secure in your admiration. This creates an emotional roller coaster, leaving you craving their approval while simultaneously feeling unworthy of it. The danger of the narcissistic charmer lies in their ability to distort your reality, making you question your own perceptions and feelings. You may find yourself constantly trying to please them, sacrificing your own needs in the process. Jung emphasized that this dynamic can lead to a loss of self-identity, as you become increasingly focused on meeting their demands for validation. To protect yourself from the influence of a narcissistic charmer, it is crucial to develop a strong sense of self-worth that is independent of their approval. Recognize that their charm is often a mask for deeper insecurities and that their need for validation does not reflect your value. Set clear boundaries regarding your emotional availability and be mindful of how their behavior affects your well-being. It is essential to engage in self-reflection and reconnect with your own desires and needs. Surround yourself with supportive individuals who affirm your worth and encourage your growth. By fostering a sense of self that is rooted in authenticity, you can shield yourself from the manipulative tactics of a narcissistic charmer and cultivate healthier relationships that honor your emotional needs. Remember, you deserve connections that are based on mutual respect and genuine care, not mere admiration. Have you ever found yourself in a relationship with someone who consistently portrays themselves as a victim, regardless of the situation? This is characteristic of the individual with a victim mentality, a person who sees themselves as perpetually wronged by the world around them. Carl Jung identified this behavior as a form of psychological projection, where individuals externalize their feelings of powerlessness and inadequacy. The victim mentality often manifests in a way that elicits sympathy and support from others, drawing you into a cycle of caretaking and emotional labor. These individuals may recount their stories of misfortune, emphasizing how life has conspired against them while neglecting to take responsibility for their own choices and actions. Over time, you may begin to feel emotionally drained as you try to support someone who refuses to acknowledge their role in their circumstances. The danger of engaging with someone who has a victim mentality lies in their ability to manipulate your empathy, making you feel responsible for their emotional state. You might find yourself constantly reassuring them and attempting to solve their problems, which can lead to feelings of frustration and resentment. Jung emphasized that this dynamic can create a toxic environment where you feel compelled to take on the role of the rescuer, often at the expense of your own well-being. The victim mentality can be particularly insidious because it often prevents individuals from recognizing their own agency. They may become so entrenched in their narrative of victimhood that they fail to see opportunities for growth or change. To protect yourself from the emotional toll of this dynamic, it is essential to establish boundaries and encourage accountability. Acknowledge their feelings, but gently remind them of their capacity to make choices and take action. It is important to communicate openly about how their victim mentality affects your relationship and to express your need for reciprocity and emotional support. Encourage them to seek professional help if their victim mentality significantly impacts their life, as this can provide them with tools to address their underlying issues. By fostering a sense of empowerment in both yourself and the individual with a victim mentality, you can create a healthier dynamic that encourages personal growth and accountability. Remember, it is not your responsibility to fix someone else's problems, and prioritizing your own emotional health is crucial for maintaining healthy relationships. Have you ever felt suffocated in a relationship by someone who insists on having things done their way? This is the hallmark of the control freak, a person who seeks to dominate every aspect of their environment and the people within it. Carl Jung recognized that this behavior often stems from deep-seated insecurities and a fear of chaos, leading individuals to exert control as a means of coping with their anxiety. Control freaks often present themselves as organized, efficient, and decisive, but their need for control can quickly become oppressive. They may micromanage your actions, second-guess your decisions, and impose their preferences on every situation. This can create an atmosphere of tension and resentment as you feel your autonomy being stripped away. The danger of engaging with a control freak lies in their ability to manipulate your sense of self-worth. They may use criticism and demands as tools to reinforce their authority, making you feel inadequate or incapable of making decisions on your own. Jung emphasized that this dynamic can lead to a loss of self-identity, as you may begin to doubt your abilities and instincts. You might find yourself constantly seeking their approval, fearing their disapproval or anger. To protect yourself from the influence of a control freak, it is crucial to establish clear boundaries and assert your autonomy. Recognize that you have the right to make your own choices and that their need for control does not define your worth. Open communication is essential, Express how their controlling behavior affects you and discuss the importance of mutual respect in the relationship. Encourage them to reflect on their need for control and explore healthier coping mechanisms for managing their anxiety. By fostering a sense of independence and self-confidence, you can create a healthier dynamic that honors both your needs and theirs. Remember, relationships should be based on trust and collaboration, not domination and control. Embrace the idea that it is okay to disagree and that your perspective is just as valid as theirs. Have you ever felt like you could never do anything right in a relationship? This is often the experience of being with a perpetual critic, someone who consistently finds fault in your actions, decisions, and even your character. Carl Jung recognized that this behavior often stems from the critic's own insecurities and unresolved issues, leading them to project their dissatisfaction onto others. The perpetual critic may mask their judgments under the guise of constructive feedback, but their comments often feel more like attacks than genuine attempts to help. They may focus on your flaws and mistakes, leaving you feeling inadequate and demoralized. This constant barrage of criticism can create a toxic environment where you feel compelled to seek their approval, often at the expense of your own self-esteem. The danger of engaging with a perpetual critic lies in their ability to undermine your confidence and sense of self-worth. You may find yourself second-guessing your decisions and feeling anxious about making choices, fearing their disapproval. Jung emphasized that this dynamic can lead to a cycle of self-doubt, where you become increasingly reliant on their validation while neglecting your own needs and desires. To protect yourself from the influence of a perpetual critic, it is essential to cultivate self-compassion and recognize your inherent worth. Acknowledge that everyone makes mistakes and that criticism is often a reflection of the critic's issues rather than your own shortcomings. Establishing boundaries is crucial. Communicate openly about how their criticism affects you and express your need for support rather than judgment. Encourage them to reflect on their behavior and consider the impact it has on your relationship. By fostering a sense of mutual respect and understanding, you can create a healthier dynamic that allows for growth and learning without the shadow of constant criticism. Remember, you deserve to be in relationships that uplift and empower you, not ones that leave you feeling diminished and inadequate. Have you ever found yourself caught in a whirlwind of chaos and emotional upheaval because of someone in your life? This is the experience of engaging with a drama magnet, a person who seems to thrive on conflict and crises, drawing others into their turbulent emotional landscape. Carl Jung observed that individuals who create drama often do so as a way to distract from their own unresolved issues and emotional pain. The drama magnet may constantly seek out attention and validation by creating crises, whether real or exaggerated, that require immediate emotional investment from those around them. They often have a flair for storytelling, embellishing their experiences to elicit sympathy and concern. This can create a sense of urgency, compelling you to drop everything to help them navigate their latest crisis. However, the emotional toll of engaging with a drama magnet can be significant. You may find yourself feeling drained, overwhelmed, and even anxious as their crises become your own. Jung emphasized that this dynamic can lead to a cycle of emotional exhaustion, where you feel compelled to rescue them while neglecting your own needs. The danger of being involved with a drama magnet lies in their ability to manipulate your empathy and sense of responsibility. You might feel guilty for not being there for them, or worry about the consequences of their emotional turmoil. To protect yourself from the influence of a drama magnet, it is essential to establish clear boundaries and prioritize your own emotional well-being. Recognize that their crises are not your responsibility, and that you have the right to step back when their behavior becomes overwhelming. Engage in open communication about how their drama affects you and express your need for more balanced interactions. Encourage them to seek professional help if their tendency to create drama significantly impacts their life and relationships. By fostering a sense of emotional autonomy, you can create a healthier dynamic that allows for genuine connection without the constant pull of chaos. Remember, you deserve relationships that are grounded in stability and mutual support, not ones that leave you feeling like you're constantly navigating a storm. Have you ever felt confused about your own perceptions or memories because someone consistently denies your experiences or twists the truth? This is the hallmark of a gaslighter, a person who engages in manipulative tactics to make you doubt your reality. Carl Jung recognized that gaslighting often stems from a desire for control and power, with the gaslighter using psychological manipulation to maintain dominance in the relationship. Gaslighters often employ a range of tactics, including denial, misdirection, and contradiction, to undermine your confidence in your own thoughts and feelings. They may dismiss your concerns as overly emotional or irrational, leading you to question your sanity and judgment. This can create an environment of self-doubt, where you feel increasingly isolated and unsure of yourself. The danger of engaging with a gaslighter lies in their ability to distort your reality, making you feel as though you are losing touch with your own identity. Jung emphasized that this dynamic can lead to a profound sense of disorientation and confusion as the gaslighter systematically erodes your sense of self. To protect yourself from the influence of a gaslighter, it is crucial to cultivate self-awareness and trust in your own perceptions. Document your experiences, feelings, and conversations to create a tangible record of reality that can help counteract their manipulations. Establish boundaries and communicate openly about how their behavior affects you. It is essential to assert your reality and remind them that your feelings and experiences are valid. Encourage them to reflect on their behavior and consider the impact it has on your relationship. If the gaslighting continues, it may be necessary to seek support from friends, family, or a mental health professional who can help you navigate the complexities of the situation. By fostering a strong sense of self and surrounding yourself with supportive individuals, you can create a healthier dynamic that honors your reality and emotional well-being. Remember, you deserve to be in relationships that are grounded in trust and authenticity, not ones that leave you questioning your own mind. Have you ever felt like you were in a relationship where your needs and feelings were consistently overlooked? This is often the experience of being with a narcissist, a person who exhibits an excessive sense of self-importance and a lack of empathy for others. Carl Jung recognized that narcissistic behavior often stems from deep-seated insecurities and a fragile self-esteem, leading individuals to inflate their self-image to compensate for their internal struggles. Narcissists typically seek constant admiration and validation, often placing their own needs above those of others. They may engage in manipulative tactics to maintain their self-image, such as gaslighting, belittling, or exploiting those around them. This can create a toxic environment where you feel devalued and unimportant, as the narcissist's needs take precedence over your own. The danger of engaging with a narcissist lies in their ability to drain your emotional resources and undermine your self-worth. You might find yourself constantly trying to please them, fearing their anger or disapproval, while neglecting your own desires and needs. Jung emphasized that this dynamic can lead to a cycle of emotional exhaustion, where you feel compelled to cater to the narcissist's whims while losing sight of your own identity. To protect yourself from the influence of a narcissist, it is essential to establish firm boundaries and prioritize your own well-being. Recognize that their need for validation does not diminish your worth, and that you have the right to assert your needs and feelings in the relationship. Open communication is crucial. Express how their behavior affects you and discuss the importance of mutual respect. Encourage them to seek professional help if their narcissistic traits significantly impact their life and relationships. By fostering a sense of self-awareness and emotional autonomy, you can create a healthier dynamic that allows for genuine connection without the shadow of self-centeredness. Remember, you deserve relationships that are based on reciprocity, empathy, and respect, not ones that leave you feeling invisible and unvalued.